Hello everyone, hi, it's me Giffyglyph, welcome to Social Encounter. Definitely not running late at all today, so yay, here we are, we're finally here. How is everyone doing today? What the fuck is up with my lights? Fuck it, there it is, done. What have I fucking missed? Yeah, hi Fabre. VODs. So I started looking at VODs, and it's kind of fine, but I need to do some stuff. I need to do some tweaking to edit and remove like the bit that I do at the front, just to kind of like there's just some minor tweaking that I need to do. But I know it, and I've got the process kind of figured out, so it's kind of ongoing. So maybe this week. Hi Mimic, hi Behemoth, hi Missing Role Player. Oh, new. Hi, how are you doing, Missing Role? I hope all's well. Hey Lex, Foundry stuff, yes. Hey Mountain Dew, hey Jota, hey Sage, hey, long time no see, how's it going? Alright, let me just scroll past all of the Fabre, and okay, we're up to date. Cool, alright, so we'll kind of run on to a little bit of what I've been doing this week, what's coming up, and then I might kind of pick up some of the stuff that I haven't been paying attention to it at all this week, like Trello or VODs, you know, the fun stuff. And also, if anyone's got anything that they've kind of been working on or want to show off, then feel free to put it in the chat, because it's there for a reason. Not that I'm ever going to pay attention to it, because obviously I never read chat. Right? Quick quest, yeah, okay, so there we go. So a haircut, fuck that. Fuck. Wait, hang on, been busy, and you won't guess what I got. You'll be so just fucking hell, Sage. Wait, how short are we talking? Haircut. I can't even contemplate like what that, like, can you imagine me going back to short hair? Like how, just, I mean, how? No, kind of used to it now. Right, okay, so let's talk a little bit about Foundry and Quick Quest and kind of where we are with that, because Quick Quest is the big thing for now, right? The return of yeah, I know all my other hoodies are in the wash, so I was like, okay, all right, I guess it's Wally Giffy time. Anyway, hope everyone's been well. If anything exciting's been happening, then let us know. He remembered Trello without me. Yeah, shit. Yeah, there we go. I should have just like kept that silent, right? Because wait, hang on. Wait, what was that for? That was something that I had to copy and paste to Lex, because Lex pointed out an issue that I need to fix with the grimoires. Yeah, there it is. Oh, Golden Sun. Now this was a game. Cool. All right. So, Quick Quest. Let's queue that up just to show off where we're at. Okay, so or as those of you who may or may not know, Quick Quest is a little RPG system that I kind of concocted. It's very like bare bones D&D / Fate / like whatever kind of rules light system you're kind of familiar with. So something I was working on last time were sort of item cards, right? Because items are kind of a big thing, right? In any RPG, you want to be able to attribute items to a character in order to gain perks and boons and yeah, everything in between. So item cards are kind of what I've been finishing up this week and playing around a lot with, which has been very annoying. But basically, Foundry's amazing, and I kind of am going to be doing a lot with Foundry in the meantime. Hang on, sorry, what am I doing? Full screen webcam. Yes. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Hey Kenku, how's it going? Almost another wipe this morning. Oh yeah, I read in chat with the Paradise Vale game, right, Lex? With the fate points stepping in, which is beautiful, because that's kind of exactly what fate points are supposed to do. Just like, yes. I'm so glad that kind of happened. Do you read the books Where's Waldo? No, I don't read Where's Waldo. I read the correct Where's Wally, because that's the correct version. Yeah, Golden Sun. Is that like anything? Has anyone mentioned like a reboot of Golden Sun? Because it kind of feels like it's ripe for it. Anyway, item cards. So now they're kind of functional, which is great. What I kind of spent this week doing an entirely bespoke kind of edit page for the cards, so you can kind of customize all your stuff here, here, and here, blah blah blah. Fine-tuning the look, all of this kind of like somewhat boring kind of figuring out of stuff. The most important thing is like, hey, now you can add tags dynamically, which is great, but more importantly, you can add item modifiers, right? So I could, maybe this sword, when you equip it, it gives you 1 strength and 1 fight, right? It makes you a bit of a better fighter because you've got a magic sword. Okay, and now it shows here in this sexy place. More important as well, these cards now have support for basic kind of like, okay, quantity, bulk, value, and an equipable kind of status. So depending on how you want to run your game, maybe your items don't have values, maybe you don't want to worry about bulk, any of this kind of stuff in between, you basically have these kind of placeholders that you can do whatever you want with, right? And you can kind of adjust them on the fly, right? Maybe this sword is actually 4 bulk, whatever, right? In addition to like changing commonalities and rarities and all that stuff in between. So now these kind of work properly when you're kind of, I haven't like connected them properly to the attributes yet. That's like the next thing for this week, but we're on track. And more importantly, it's taught me a lot about Foundry that is going to be very useful when we do Darker Dungeons, right? Or slightly before Darker Dungeons when we do Monster Maker. That's kind of going to be the next big thing that we do after Quick Quest. So if there's any questions or anything anyone kind of wants to see, blah blah blah, just let me know and maybe we'll talk a bit more about this. But otherwise, I guess there's probably not really too much to talk about because it's all been boring, you know, making stuff look sexy this week, because that's kind of what I obsess a lot about. But yeah, so it's close. I keep saying that every week, but now it's really close. I know more about how the system works, which is good. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, yesterday one party wiped friends. Griffins saved a different party today. Ooh. That's a lot of TPKs. Oh my god. This is in Crash's games, right? By the way, the exploration mechanics you wrote are amazing. I've been using them in the West Marches game. Oh, fuck yeah. Excellent. That's really good to hear. I'm glad you're enjoying the Mimic. I mean, like the exploration moment, you know, I have to pay respect to the Angry GM who codified that kind of initial rule set, or at least the roll 6 kind of to randomize stuff. But yeah, like they're perfect for a West Marches game. That really is like when I wrote them and developed them, kind of that's what they were primarily kind of geared towards. In most games, or at least you know, in sort of what's the word? In action first games, I tend to use things like trials, right, for a journey in that sense. But for a West Marches game where you kind of need that level of granularity, the journey phase has been a real boon. So yeah, I'm glad that's kind of working out for you. If you have any suggestions or sort of tweaks or little mods you've made to make those rules work any better for your game, then I'd always be interested to know how those go. Hey Magic, how's it going? Just finished the session. You know you did good when you... Yes. See, this is something like a lot of people don't really talk about, right, or kind of overlook, is just brain burnout. Brain burnout, major thing, sure, whatever. I just had a burnout moment there, whatever. I had this, I don't know if anyone else has run Fate or Fate Core, but burnout was a thing that I suffered a ton when I was playing that game in particular, because you have to think about running games in a very different way, and you're constantly having to come up with like aspects and boosts, and having to name things, and it's mentally exhausting for a rules-light game. I was always kind of wiped out in those games, a lot more than I was with something like 4th edition or 5e. How'd your session go, Magic? Or rather, like, what was the big thing that kind of wiped you all out? Recently fit my index card RPG on a business card. Oh, sweet. Oh, sweet. Okay, hang on. Let's just show this off, shall we? I love index card RPGs. There's a few other people who do some really good ones that whose name I can't remember. So whoops, hang on. Actually, let's just find someone. Someone I follow on Twitter. But yeah, like, I'm always impressed. Like, just the ability to kind of condense stuff. I think we've looked at this before, right? Where you're using escalating dice, which I absolutely love. That's really cool. Have you posted this on things like Reddit and Twitter as well, Sage? There's a good thing on there's a one-page RPGs is something that I've posted like quick quest to a couple of times, so that might be a good Reddit or subreddit for this as well. There's an index card. Oh, okay, sweet. Oh, I didn't know that. In fairness, like, itch.io is something that I really don't... I've got an itch.io, but I don't really do very much with it. I should probably start paying more attention to it. We're also doing powers and abilities with this card system. It's very likely. Hang on, let's have a switch back. Let's just... yeah, so the intent is we've got the inventory working, so I kind of know the basics of how Foundry works now. What I'm also going to be creating are perks, right? Which will be like, hey, you get +1 strength, or, you know, you could use it to define abilities, or like little unique features for players or characters. So within that sort of perks and effects system is probably where powers and abilities will be defined, but we'll kind of fine-tune that as we go, I think. But basically, the power card system is kind of... power card approach is visually what I'm going to be doing. And probably something that might follow through to, if not Darker Dungeons, then maybe the Monster Maker, because I do kind of like this approach of portraying information. I'm not a huge fan of... hang on, let's just go back. So let's go back to the 5e one, for instance. Test 5e. So these kind of... I have a real big problem with stuff that I don't think is, you know, sexy. And this kind of stuff isn't really sexy enough for me to kind of be interested in making, if you know what I mean. So when we do Darker Dungeon stuff or Monster Maker stuff, the visual format of that might change and sort of be something that I pay particular interest to. Because I like my stuff to, you know, be super sexy. Quick Quest is for learning. That's why you're doing it first. Yeah, exactly. So Quick Quest has been like it was a real good suggestion from you, right, Lex, to do Quick Quest first. So that's working out really well. Is there any way to add other resources like Resolve? Not at the moment. Not at the moment. Would be interesting. Maybe in phase 2? Interesting. I'll have a look at that and see if there's a quick way for me to just jam that in, or find a way to like support extra kind of resource systems. Crash this game, 3 GMs. PC's going to have 1 car for each GM. Nice. Yeah, Crash is like, from the VODs that I've seen, way harsher than I am, like when running games. It's really interesting to watch. Because I tend to, I'm a massive wuss and weakling when it comes to killing player characters or doing them serious harm. Despite everything I wrote, or like, again, I've spoken about this before, but a big portion of the justification for a system like Fate Points was to train me to be more comfortable, you know, dealing killing blows to players. And Crash is like just fully committed to that kind of gameplay, which is really nice. It's so fun to watch. Especially when he's running like the big solos or Monster Maker monsters, because Crash don't give up fucks, like dead. Main good thing about the exploration mechanic is probably the campground. It makes rests. Yes. Camping for me was like a huge... like camping just generally in RPGs should be a vehicle for storytelling, right? Or a way for players to kind of talk about what they're doing to prepare for the adventure ahead, right? It should be a meaningful experience. You know, in every like video game, stuff happens during downtime, right? You have interesting conversations with characters. Dragon Age Origins is one that I always remember and kind of come back to, because the resting mechanic for that was the camp. And in that camp, you'd have chats and you'd kind of learn a bit more about your characters. We can't really do that in D&D, but what we can do is use that as a vehicle for mechanical storytelling, which is very interesting. 212 emails. You should... I know, they're all just like, it's just junk, right? Or like, I get the prompt on my phone, and then I just know I don't need to pay attention to it, right? That's like my personal one, not my Giffyglyph one. I mean, they're both my personal ones, right? One's my generic, like, email dump, and the other is my Giffyglyph one. It's business card, so it's actually a lot smaller than an index card. Oh, fuck. Oh, god, yeah, of course it would be, wouldn't it? Yeah, index cards are like, what, 3x5? Trials transferring to combat. Roleplay very heavy. I had to roll. Oh, fuck, yeah, I saw this. Hang on. So, I saw you mentioned this kind of in the Discord just kind of before I jumped on. Magic, which is really interesting. Trials, sort of using trials and combat in unison, right? Or this sort of interplay between trials and combat is something that I was trying to. Maybe I didn't like connect it very well in the PDF. I might have to like refine the text of that. But using trials and combat side by side or interchangeable is a very important part of the trials kind of mechanic. You know. You don't have to just like do a combat or do a trial. You can have a trial within a combat, you know. So it's a very flexible system that I'm glad you were able to kind of Lego in the right way for your game. Dread as well. Yes. How did that work out? So Dread I haven't really heard anything about in terms of like how it's affected players' games. So hopefully that was like really cool. Can you create active skills, like something that interacts with dices? In what way? Not spice. I mean, I'm a massive spice wuss. Chicken korma is like a korma curry. That's about as spicy as I like it. 108 tabs on my Firefox. 108 tabs, Kenku. What have you possibly got on 108 tabs? Although I'm pretty sure I've done some of that myself. Alright, hang on, sorry, where am I at? I find that railroading... Look, I don't railroad players, Fabre. I just make sure that they always do exactly what I want them to do. It's totally different. Totally different, right? I find that railroading players is bad, but letting them in a 100% free sandbox is also boring. Yeah, generally, like, a GM's... what's the word? Most important role is to provide... Fuck, what was the word? I had it. Narrative... urgency. Here we go. And conflict. So this is like sandboxes are great, but as a GM you have a responsibility and a necessity, right, to provide some kind of urgency for players to at least like get started off within the sandbox sort of addressing. This is something that I kind of see done a lot or have experienced a lot, which is just, hey, here's a sandbox, go kind of do whatever. And it kind of works sometimes, right? But you need to do the work as the GM to provide really interesting material for that. It's not enough to just react entirely on what your players do, right? You have to create meaningful content for them to get into, not just there's like 500 dungeons, which one do you want to go and like figure out, right? It's like, no, okay, like this dungeon has this lore and these rumors, right? Or this one has this like stuff, but you know there's also like a deadline between this quest expiring, right? You know, this one is only open in the phases of the full moon, right? So it's like, oh, okay, now the players have to arrange this bit of content between this time and this one here. But what if they're over here when they're like doing it? You know, oh my god, there's like so much to think about now. So very often I've kind of seen GMs worry too much about creating a realistic sandbox or a reactive sandbox without creating enough bait. Probably, is that the word? Enough bait for players to start chasing. I do the same thing with fate points. The system plays so well with Odyssey. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, fate points, like for me, were a really useful training mechanism. A lot of the stuff that I write for Darker Dungeons is codifying ways of training me to play the game in different ways. The alpha today was a solo that summoned minions. Oh, fuck yes. That sounds really painful. Like solos, any solo that can summon monsters is... I have to be very careful when I use those because it's so easy to just kind of like overwhelm players. Use that a lot. I'm not sure if Quick Quest will interact with those modules well. Yeah, I think like because Quick Quest is going to be its own system, so I guess any 5e modules won't interact with it or play with it. So everything that we do for Quick Quest will have to be its own kind of module. But it might come in like maybe that's an example of me developing or learning how to do add-on modules that will extend content. Sorry, I'm way behind on chat. Hang on, let's just have a look here. Trials are an absolutely incredible way to push the story forward. So roleplay, they're fantastic, right? And I say that as, you know, the one who kind of codified it, but a lot of people. I saw this kind of there was a Twitter thread, I think, between Sly Flourish and some other DMs, I think, about how skill challenges from 4th edition were awful and like really bad, and you know, as a GM you don't need rules to run like skill based scenes, right? Just let the players kind of you know, do whatever. And I feel like that's just a really bad, a really good example of learning the wrong lessons from a mechanic like skill challenges. Like, skill challenges were very useful because they got DMs thinking about skills and how skills can be used to solve situations. The problem was just that they weren't fully kind of, what's the word, fleshed out. You know, they were a bit too granular and a bit too lacking in advice on how to run, I guess. So Trials really was taking the lessons that I learned from the skill challenges of 4th edition and kind of using them to help the GM structure a narrative, skill-based kind of solution, scenario. So yeah, I'm really glad that they work out very well for you, Magic. They sound like you're doing exactly what I was hoping would be done with them. Oh, that's perfect. Dread I've been using to tell a story. I mean, yeah, that's perfect. That's kind of a summation of like any good mechanic, right? You should be using it to tell a story. So using Dread points to portray wild and insane events, yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly kind of what the flexibility of that system is geared towards, right? It's all porn. Ugh, why 108 tabs? Like, you just bookmark it, right? No one needs to keep that much. Like, it's on the internet. It's in the history, right? Dread is a really excellent GM tool. I think the less experienced you are, the more you'll need some guidance on how Dread impacts game balance and how to tune. Yeah, so this is like a really tricky one. Is so I saw this when I first released, or when I released the first preview of Dread, and someone was kind of like looking for guidance on how to like, well, how do I balance an encounter with Dread? And this isn't a question that I actually know how to answer at the moment, because it's so dependent, right, on what your powers are, what the capabilities of the players are, what the scenario is. Like, I genuinely don't know how meaningful, like, what we can do beyond, like, hey, you might want to just, like, think about this, and here are some points you might want to reflect on. That might kind of be the best way to do it, actually, which is, balance could be a thing you want to be aware of. Using too much Dread too aggressively can be problematic for your game. Keep these points in mind when you're implementing this mechanic. That might be, actually, that might kind of, yeah, that might work out quite well, actually. Less mechanical structure and more just calling out and guidance. Yeah, let me think on that. Thanks for that, DJ. Paradise Vale is basically a sandbox, and it's been a blast. Yeah, so Paradise Vale, I haven't like looked into it too deep. Is like Paradise Vale a true kind of West Marches game, in that you have kind of like competing teams doing competing actions? I think one of the problems with some DMs on a sandbox is the world is open but static. There should be stuff that happens in the instance. Yes. Yeah, I agree with this. You kind of want the world to evolve, right, and keep evolving. That's a very important part of it. But I think, like, sometimes GMs think making it a sandbox is all they need to do to make it fun. I think this is the trap I sometimes see GMs thinking are like falling into, right? Is well, here's the game, right? And it would be a problem, or like whatever. But was that even a sentence, Giff? Fuck, it wasn't. It was just noise. I'm gonna get better at this. I'm not. I'm just whatever. Anyway, making a game a sandbox game doesn't make it a good game in itself, right? You still need to create appealing content that is going to want players to consume that content. And it needs to have consequences. If you do this thing, the world needs to change. If you do this thing, the world needs to change. It's important to provide a sense of urgency, like complete this quest, but if you don't, then what are the... Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you don't really want to punish players for it, right? I think this kind of ties in with what DJ was saying, right? Which is, if players don't complete a quest or something, or they don't pursue it, then the world evolves in a certain way, right? It's not so much about punishing players, but evolving the world. I think Dungeon World has a system, is it called fronts? I think that it terms it in that system, where it's like, if players don't pursue a quest or something, or a particular plot line, then the front advances, right? It's kind of like a countdown clock in a way, and once it reaches the end, then something bad happens. And that's a system that I've kind of used a couple of times in my recent games. I say recent, like year-old games, like Solitaire, where I had like a fairly what's the word? A controlled sandbox. So I was running a controlled sandbox, and there were things and problems that if the players didn't pursue, then would advance to like the next stage of urgency and the next stage of urgency, and in each of them would kind of increase the threat of the problem, etc., etc. It does have dells and hexes to explore. The new settlement dock is going to add a ton. Ooh, new settlement dock. Ooh, what are they writing? Bookmarks of all my music research, useful websites. Oh, yes. I mean, I go through that as well, especially when I'm developing, well, just anything, I guess, right? Because I'll open up a tab, and then I have, by the end of the day, I've got like 15 YouTube tabs. Because I'm an idiot, right? Like, in addition to 15 Stack Overflow like ones, or the Foundry Reddit, where I'm kind of like looking at questions. It's like just stack. Dread in moderation to extend the dark. Yeah, exactly. It's time for me to set up my Vive. Oh, Vive! Oh, yes. Vive headset. Yeah. I've been really tempted to like start getting into VR, because Half-Life Alyx, I guess, is it called? Right. I really want to play that. But I need to upgrade my PC, and in order to do that, I need to get a hold of like the new graphics cards. But nowhere's you can't fucking buy them for love nor money, right? Because can't buy a PS5 because everyone's snapping them up. Can't buy a graphics card because everyone's snapping them up. So I'm just stuck here developing Foundry content. What a shame. It's very West Marches. Characters from the same PC cannot benefit each other, so we're forced to stay separate. That's a really good rule. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That stops kind of one player kind of min-maxing with their own self. Currently it's one outpost in a fake forest with no way home once you step. Oh, that's beautiful. That's very nice. Dungeon World does have fronts, and Sly Flourish had some goes. Perfect, yeah, fronts, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, Sly Flourish does some really good stuff. Let me find it. They're using a free one as a base, then modifying it to be more balanced and immersive. Ah, perfect, okay. Yeah, settlements were kind of one of those things on... Oh, well, actually, hang on. I know what we can do. We can look at the Giffyglyph Trello, right? Because... I definitely have looked at that at some point in the recent while. Because I think I put settlements on there about, what, 2 years ago. Products. Yeah, it was... Hang on, let's have a look. Let's have a quick look. Did I do settlements in here? Wounds, principal stuff, journeys, inventory. Oh, I guess I didn't. No. Actually, let's just add another one. Settlements. What do? Let's just add that one for now. I'll expand it later. Alright, okay, yeah, I kind of need to... Okay, actually, what have I done? I've probably done fuck tons of these. Monster Maker, I haven't done any of these. Okay, update our assets to... Yes, that one is done. That's finished. Archive, yes. You're not done. Oops. So this update... fuck it, this is going to be super boring. Sorry, everyone, but it's my stream, right? So, yay. So updating the art assets, I did this, what, like... months ago. Was this like Darker Dungeons 3.0? It was around that, right? So we kind of like revamped everything and pushed them all out. Add a new chapter, skill challenges. This was done. This became trials, right? So that's done. Add a new chapter, building an adventure. That's done. You can archive view. Add a new chapter, gods, oaths, and patrons. So this kind of got moved into class compendium, or it got split up right into the cleric, the paladin, and the warlock. I'm not sure whether is that worth bringing into Darker Dungeons. It might. I don't know what the value of that is. It might be enough to kind of have Dread now. Dread kind of covers this because you're punished. You could just use Dread. I don't know what people like is. Let's come back to that. Okay, retiring your character. This is kind of something that I probably need to have a think about. Because we have rules for, like, there's a very cursory mention in there to, like, okay, what happens when you retire a character, but maybe a chapter in itself, like, I think is with some just expanded rules or advice would be useful, because it's a reminder to players that, hey, this is an option, right? You could just retire your character. You don't have to play a character to death. You can just retire and get this perk or this perk. Yeah, so we'll keep that, actually. That would be a useful one. Hang on, sorry, let me just catch up on chat quick. RTX 2060 or later is fine. Yeah, I think I'm looking at getting, well, obviously like the new 30, like probably like the 3070 or whatever, like the 300 tier kind of 3000 card was, because I want to get something that's just a little bit more future proofed. I tend to upgrade like once every, I don't know, 5 years or so. Something that's just going to last me a little bit longer is probably worth it. Plus, also the 2000 cards, like the price has just been jacked way up. It's really annoying. Famous Book of Business. Oh, actually, was Book of Business? Did I have Book of Business in here? No, I did. That might have been in the side quests. All right. Okay. Hang on. Let's just swing back through these. Class compendium. Oh, I know. His class compendium goes full. Oh god, so much. Well, although I mean, class compendium is done, right? Or at least in regards to this. Actually, all these are done. Let's just fuck it. Let's just mop up class compendium because that's done. That's done. That's done. That's done. That's done. Oh, and the paladin. Yeah, that's also done. So class compendium, at least version 1, right? Finished. Right, okay, so open skills. There is... So open skills is a thing. Actually, let's just open up the page as well. Go Giffyglyph.com. We'll open up the grimoire just so we can compete. Oh, compare. So, open skills are mentioned in ability checks. So this is something like it's a default rule in 5. It's a variant rule in 5e, right? That I just kind of refresh and remind everyone kind of does exist, and I call it open skills. And for me, this is the only way to play D&D. Because using default skills, it causes so many problems. It's wild. That wizards still kind of push that approach is mind-boggling to me. But anyway, something that I kind of wanted to do was a sort of one-page example of situations where you might want to use athletics in a how would you use like charisma in social exploration and combat situations, right? Just like a one-page table. I think that would still have value and like remind people of some of the flexibility of that system. Inventory, streamless variants. That's probably, I mean, that's a light thing. Expand how slots work. That's done completely. That was done in 3.1. Journeys, variant rules, that would be useful. Printable cards, that would be cool. That would be a good use of card codex. That's a separate thing. Table of pre-made journey seeds, that would be useful. Light and shadow, printable. I didn't fix that. I didn't do that. Yes, okay, yeah, so blah blah blah. Okay, so I think all these still work as well. Okay, yes. Outside of class changes, I think. Yeah, who needs gods, right? Gods just get in the way. Retiring characters. Retiring characters would tie into settlements. Oh, that would be kind of interesting. Yeah. Hey Bard, how's it going? Would retiring your character include rules advice for how new characters come into a game midway? That could be interesting. That would kind of be like unretiring. You could kind of like stash a character, bring them out later, swap them with some other characters, or, you know, repurpose those to introduce a new character. I wonder how that would work. It's tricky because this is usually in the hands of the GM, right? And the story. Interesting. So, for any of you who've kind of run games, Have you had any problems introducing new characters into a game midway? I'd be very interested to know what kind of scenarios people have had with this. Actually, just while I'm catching up on chat. 5 years kind of deficient in dealing with God's oath's patrons. Theros introduced piety. Ooh, what's the piety thing in Theros? Interesting. So, I mean, in Class Compendium, actually, maybe this would be Gods, Oaths, Patrons. Fuck it. I mean, I should put that into Darker Dungeons. That'll be a way of repurposing the Class Compendium content anyway. And it perfectly fits with Darker Dungeons. And it would be an easy way to just okay, yeah, I have to do this. I have to do this. Yep. God's Oath wait, no, I'm not. There we go. Yeah. Has to go into DB. It's kind of important. Yeah, it does have value, doesn't it? I mean, it's one of those things that I'll get massive flack for because one of the big kind of bits of pushback that I would read about regarding class compendium and cleric, paladin, and warlock in particular was how players are such babies, basically, to like have any kind of punishment mechanic for going against their patron. It is wild to me how far players will go to avoid having to do the thing that their character should do. You know, it's like a punishment mechanic should be baseline requirement for a thing like a god or an oath or a patron, and yet so I expect a lot of pushback from that when I put that into Darker Dungeons, but it has value. It has distinct value. I think there's some open design space there, but I'm not sure if what you have in mind, whether you're thinking more about guidance specific classes which implicate. Yeah, so if hang on, let me just post a link, because if you haven't read Class Compendium, DJ, then the system that I would have is exists here for things like let's just give you the cleric as an example. So actually, you can also just look at it here, right? Here we go. So basically, you know, a system like God's Oath's Patrons, right, would have things like commandments. If you follow a god or you serve a god, then your god gives you commandments to follow. And if you don't follow them, then your god might punish you in some temporary measure until you repent, right? Or you make it up to your god, basically. So this to me is a system that has works when I've used it in games, not Class Compendium games, but as a sort of temporary kind of what's the word, structure, because these are all kind of like temporary punishments, right? You lose your domain spells, or you lose faith, or you lose divinity, and so on and so forth. Not so much these, because these are Class Compendium specific, but so it forces the players to think more about the character that they're playing and their relationship to their god. So it would need some refinement to introduce into Darker Dungeons in a way that would be flexible. But I think there's a way to do it. Sorry, where am I at? Where am I at? I'm way behind. Oh god, I'm so far behind. Use a generic system called Divinity to deal with gods. Oh, Divinity. I mean, yeah, I mean that totally makes sense, right? Hey Shreddy, how's it going? Skills? What are skills? Oh wait, that's right. You don't. Yeah, you were kind of like proper like OSR, if I remember rightly, Barb, which is like just attributes only, no kind of skills, or it's all down to description, right? Recruiting new PCs. I think it depends. Managing the bench. Yeah, there you go. Hey, what do you think of Skaven? Warhammer Fantasy Lore is getting at me again. I love the Skaven. I don't know. I'm trying to think of. So I know the Skaven, or rather, I know the models and the fact that they're, you know, really cool vermin. I don't know too much about the lore, but I know that I fucking love Warpstone and the weird shit that the Skaven come up with. Like, the weird Warpstone beast. And they have a cannon, right? A Warpstone cannon. It's so cool. Yeah, Skaven, like, I remember back when I was... back when uni, right? Oh my god, so long ago. My friends and I used to play Warhammer Fantasy. Skaven was a race I was interested in, but there were just too many models and I couldn't be asked to paint that many, so sorry. But yeah, Skaven are really cool. I think in Age of Sigmar, which we dare not speak about, they've just folded Skaven directly into Chaos now. I think, right? The Horned Rat is now a Chaos God. But beyond that, I don't really know too much about the lore, I have to say. Loads of problems bringing in new games, but I run very merit-based games. My mantra is you earn every level, so that creates issues when someone dies. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, so that's a question of, like, who earns the level? Like, is it the character or the player? Yeah, so that's an interesting question, right? Like, when a player is playing the game, are they kind of accruing experience themselves, right? Or sort of leniency? Like, leniency points, I guess, is that it? Maybe that's the system. And then they could spend those to buy levels on their new character. It's kind of like DKP points, but time, maybe? Because there's always like this is a very significant, right? Did the character die? Like, or rather, what was the intention of the player when the character died? So this is something that I've had come up a couple of games, right? Ones where I've been running and being a GM, where a player deliberately puts their character into perilous situations because they want to get that character killed and they want to play the next fun, shiny thing. And this has been a problem in a couple of my games with like a couple of players in the past that I've kind of what's the word? Reminded that I'm interested in the story and the narrative of the game, and if their character keeps doing this dumb shit, then I just don't want to play the game with that character because it's a waste of my time, and my time is honestly the most important thing to me. So this is something that you always kind of have to take into mind when a player is creating, or like when a character dies and a player creates a new character. Are you rewarding them for putting your game at risk by like just throwing their character away, or did they die because you the GM stacked the odds too far in there, like too far against them, right? Did you fuck up as the GM? Like what was the kind of thing here? So Darker Dungeons runs with a system Oh, I think yeah. So actually, as you kind of mentioned, Darker Dungeons explores this in a way with where we go, Death and Resurrection, was it? Yeah, here we go. Oh, did I? On behind, yes, I dropped these rules. So in the very early versions of Darker Dungeons, sorry, I'm looking at stuff that you can't see, right? In early versions of Darker Dungeons, there were rules or advice in there of like, hey, look, you when you die, you start off with nothing except what your previous character kind of banked. And then you could spend that gold to like you could trade that gold for experience to determine the new level of your character, because then that became the new it was an important retirement fund, right? When you're playing a character, you want to be like, okay, I want to spend this much, but I need to bank this in case things go terribly wrong and I need to play a new character, right? And I want the new character to be competent. Actually, let me just see if I can find the older version of that. Why did I have that? It's got to be in like 1.4 or something. Fuck, sorry, I'm way behind on chat. Jeez. Question, level up and downtime in long rest, yes or no? Or can you only do a level in a long rest with no downtime activities? It depends if you're using the training rules or no. If you're using training, then it's implied... hang on, actually, let me just remind myself of the exact wording. If you're using the training rules, then training is the thing that you're doing, right? You spend a week to train and progress your level advancement. Otherwise, you just level up during a long rest. Hang on, where are you at? Once you've finished a training... Oh, fuck. Although... no, that's a good question, Lex. I don't think I actually clarified that during the rules. I'll need to add an expansion note onto that just to clarify how that interacts. Yeah, sorry, that's the intent of it, is like training is like a downtime activity, but I'll need to adjust the text to account for that. I think it's okay to have this, but we need something of equal value for stuff like fighters and barbarians. See, I don't know. This kind of stuff is tricky because, like, what you need in that. So sorry, if I remember rightly, we're talking about like gods, oaths, and patrons just in relation to this, right? Where it becomes very tricky because for things like gods, oaths, and patrons, we have clear clear toys we can take away from the player. So there is a direct connection with classes like clerics, paladins, and warlocks, where their power comes from something, be it a god, an oath, or a patron. So it's very easy for us to narratively be like, no, the patron is yoink, just taking that back from you because you don't deserve it now. You know, sorry, you don't get a spell slot or something like that. But we can't really do that with fighters and martial classes generally because their abilities are all internal. Their ability to do action surge you can't really narratively be like, hey, your guild takes an ability away from you. Well, how can I no longer do my feral leap or something like that? Because, you know, whatever. So it's very tricky to create a narrative counterpart like that for martial classes like fighters and barbarians. I haven't really come to a good idea for something like that without already coming up with an entire, I don't know, guild or community system. It's really tricky. That makes sense. I wasn't sure how class focused the concept was. Piety and Theros is about earning the favour of gods. Oh, okay, this is interesting. Yes. Right. Okay, I see what you're talking about now, DJ. Yeah. Yeah. So my interpretation was specifically focused on like classes. So you'd have to multi-class into something to worry about that mechanic. And in Darker Dungeons, it would probably go down that same route. Exactly right on the OSR. No skills front. Yes. Yeah, I love the flexibility of that. You kind of see that in Quick Quest, where it's like, hey, really, you just have like a thing and an archetype, right, to reflect a class that you're using that ability with. But my most successful method for new PC XP has been banking. Okay, yeah, sorry, I don't think Giffy had read my... Oh, no, I did read... I saw your comment just at the bottom when I was talking about the leveling... Not leveling stuff. Whatever I was talking about. And that's what reminded me about the XP banking. Or like gold banking. Right, okay. Sorry, I was looking for a version of that, right? Question about how you ran your home game. How long does a full adventure path take your group? Do you generally do a single adventure cycle every session or two? Yeah, basically that. So I tend to... so using Solitaire as an example, Solitaire was a very kind of action-focused game, right? So it had a sort of central hub, populated with like 3-4 active quests. Each quest is designed with sort of around like, 6 to 8 encounters, and end with a long rest. There's one adventure cycle. So that was kind of like how I structured like Solitaire for a very long time, right? To give players choices and opportunities, and a choice of what happens, but not a true sandbox in the sense that I don't have everything prepared, right? I'm creating Hollywood style adventures basically that are going to be exciting and active and whatever, right? So each of those, yeah, basically takes about a session or two, generally 2, because I like to have a kind of cliffhanger, right? Or like I know I can have the mid-boss kind of encounter, and then we can kind of end hopefully on a sort of cliffhanger of some kind. But then that never pans out because I'm really bad at predicting how long some encounters are going to take versus others. So I have to like bodge a cliffhanger out of whatever scenario, whatever whatever point we're currently at. Does that make sense? So yeah, yeah. So does that clarify for you, DJ? Because I tend to, because I do like week-long rests, that allows me to that forces a certain structure on how long my adventure cycles can kind of be, unless I come up with some kind of convoluted, or not necessarily convoluted, right, but some recovery mechanic within that cycle. It's like, hey, you have special recovery potions that will give you the benefit of a long rest without you having to take a week, you know, those kind of things. Or it's like, hey, if you drink from this fountain of this dead god, you're gonna be fully restored, right? Sometimes I'll put those if I'm doing a particularly long kind of adventure. Or I know that I've really got a big boss coming up and I want the players to be at full power. I'll kind of like, okay, drink this magic liquid and you're fully recovered. Because I want my anime moments. Love the training rules, excellent narrative justification. Yes. Yeah, there we go. I assume then the training cost is on top of the lifestyle costs. Yes. And let me just... yeah, there you go, yeah. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, training costs don't cover your regular living expenses, so you need to cover those separately. So this is something when a GM kind of uses training costs or training as a feature in their games, they do need to be mindful about how much gold they're kind of providing players, because you do need to make sure that they can pay for these things. And training, like especially like beyond. Even like 5th level, right? It's not wild because 5e rules are crazy generous with loot and gold, but you know, 9th to 10th, how much is that? So that's 64 gold. You need 320 gold, right, to level up from level 9 to level 10. Which is, you know, that's not an insurmountable chunk of money if you're playing by default rules. When you're using sort of like the darker dungeons, when you're using active XP or a system like that, then the GM might need to like dial things up a little bit in terms of how generous they kind of want to be. But that's something you'll discover as you play the game, basically. It's kind of it's one of those dials where, as a GM, I'm kind of always looking out for these things. You know, how hard are the monsters? How much damage are they kicking out? How much health are they doing? How few, how little gold do they have, or how much are they complaining about, like not having gold? And then I'll use that to kind of dial things up or dial things down in kind of response to that. You know, subtly, kind of behind the scenes, right? Because we don't want to give too much away. Not to serve you on your important chat quests. It's so important, right? When you think you're making gaming events with the Cult, yeah, it's a good point. So we did Diablo 2. Was that in February? Was that the start of February? I think it was, maybe. Yeah, so I want to do another one. Hey, gaming's always kind of fun, right? But I have Foundry on the brain at the moment, so I kind of need to just make sure that that's progressing, or at least once I got Quick Quest done and the Monster Maker, we'll probably have a bit of a chat about like doing some kind of group session, because that would be pretty sweet. Active XP question. My group has found that the rogue is progressing about 1.5 as fast as everyone else. Interesting. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Why the... lock picking? Could this be? Is this it? Oh shit, why did I do that? So I haven't noticed this too often in my games. Partly because like the last couple I've just used milestone for some of it, because the players there didn't really care for active in particular. But yeah, lockpicking and stealth. So what did I do in those situations? Let's try and remember. Did I turn lockpicking? No. No, in the end, I think like what I ended up doing there was dialing down the amount that I basically gave out for lockpicking or stealth, because I ended like hang on, let me just bring up the respective check here. Active XP. Yeah, here we go. So this was kind of the thing. It was like so the adversity, right, or part of the reason that I added these dials for calculating the active XP, right, was how difficult is it to unlock this thing, and how threatening is that. And most times, unlocking a door, hang on, it actually isn't that kind of threatening. You know, the door itself, sorry, if it's like a magic door that would hurt the players, or it's trapped or something like that, then I would kind of dial it up a little bit and maybe give them like normal or even hard. But most times when a rogue just does a lockpicking thing, it would be easy or at best, right? Very often I'd just say it's trivial, because hey, it's a door. You just did it. So yeah, I think, and this was the thing, like it wasn't too bad for us because of this exact point, right? You know, the rogue is kind of going ahead and being on their own, so it's like a little bit of a bonus. That's part of the reason why a lot of players are drawn to being a rogue anyway, right? They want the stuff, and in this case, the stuff is XP. So it's, yeah, I didn't find it a problem that the rogue ended up with sort of like slightly ahead of the players, but I did make sure to kind of take control of how much I was kind of giving out through lockpicking and stealth, mainly by using the relative modifiers here. Does that help? Hopefully. How often do you find that you need to introduce these types of workarounds? Hang on, let's just read the rest of that. I do the same thing. Sometimes it's just hard for the players to take a bad fight and continue moving forward. How do you decide whether they should get the workaround versus be forced to retreat and deal with the narrative consequences? So this is generally... it depends on how... What's the word? Cinematic I want the adventure to be. Here we go. It depends on how powerful I want the players to feel. Is that the right phrasing for this? So very often, like as a default, I kind of err towards this structure for building content, right? I create something that can be fairly straightforwardly kind of consumed by players over about 2 sessions. You know, has these number of fights, generally ends with a solo encounter because I love boss fights. But depending on the significance of the adventure, right? Maybe it's like it's the end of a quest chain and I want it to feel like a really big ongoing thing, or they're diving into a really dark dungeon and I need to impress on them the severity of what they're doing. Then that's kind of like an extended adventure cycle, right? Or it's a linked, I don't really have a good term for it. Extended, maybe? That's probably it. So that depends basically on one, how cinematic an experience am I kind of looking for in this thing. How cocky have the players been recently, and do I need to just remind them of how dangerous the world can be? And 3, sort of like, what's the narrative impact of this? Like, have I been building this thing up to be a terror or a scary experience? In which case, then you know, I need to lengthen that adventure cycle accordingly. In those kind of cases, I'll be, what's the word? In those kind of cases, I might have a helper NPC kind of, or like the quest giver, be like, hey, this dungeon or whatever is really fucking dangerous. You might want to like take these with you, but there's only 4 of them, and there's like 5 of you, and who knows, right? You might not need them, but if you do. So that's something that I use quite a lot as well for hints and highlights and stuff. Yeah, generally, like for me, like a retreat is usually is something I try to avoid in my games, because retreat isn't interesting most times. So when players are like, hey, we can't keep going, we have to go back, that to me is a boring kind of what's the word, outcome a lot of the times, or it's a sign that I might have overcomplicated things or over signified how dangerous the thing can be. Sometimes there's like a lack of clarity on my part as the DM on how dangerous an experience is going to be or whatever. Sometimes the players get overly worried. But yeah, it like just retreat I find very boring and very dull. So you have to make that very threatening, and that's something that I tend to be. Hang on, make the narrative consequences super bad, just like Hollywood kind of. So, has Hollywood got 2 L's or 1? Super bad, like whatever. Super bad to make retreat a harder choice. The narrative, yeah, there we go. So yeah, so there are a lot of ways you can kind of work around this, like especially if you don't want players to just kind of retreat, then you could have like a god impart a vision on their cleric, kind of urging them to progress with this because of bad things, or a patron making a demand of their warlock to kind of keep things going. There are like little things you can do there to kind of force things, not to railroad, but to kind of avoid having to just like do a bog standard boring retreat. But it's a very tricky one. I'm always torn because I want the players to budget the resources and not get bailed out, but I built the adventure dungeon and we all want to keep going. I think they have to be forced out and have partial successes sometimes, or if they start to think they can't, I won't let them fail. Yeah, this is definitely true. So one, put the recovery mechanic in the hands of the players. So this generally is like how I tend to do it in those extended segments. Like recovery potions are an easy fix for this. So this has kind of solved it in my case a few times in the past, where players know that this thing they're going into is really bad, right? Or it's going to take a long time. The odds are going to be very stacked against them, like whatever. So what I do is I directly put the recovery mechanic in their hands, so that they're forewarned, and they know that the choice of when they recover is up to them. So they could do it early if they want to, and kind of press on, whatever. But that gives them a lot more control and a lot more, what's the word? Players with control tend to be happy players. Does that make sense? And it takes the worry out of my hands about when to force that kind of... when do I need to put the convenient fountain of recovery or whatever? Because I already gave that system to the players, and it's up to them to decide among themselves when they choose to drink that potion or snort that devil blood or like whatever, you know. So this is something I definitely recommend if you're doing those kind of like dangerous or extended adventures. Put the recovery mechanic directly in the hands of the players, and they'll know at that point, or rather if they fail and they have to retreat, it's not because of anything you did, it's because they didn't use their recovery system well enough, you know. So you did all you could as GM, you gave them the recovery system. They just were too greedy or too stingy to use it correctly. That's the game. Hey Box, how's it going? Ran into a difficult scenario recently in the finale of my character where I put too tight of a timer on things, the players didn't get a long rest. Yes. Yeah, this is a tricky one. Like timers are really great as GMs because they can put urgency on things, right? But sometimes we dial them up too much, or players don't progress as fast as we're expecting, and then they kind of ended up working up against us, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, so I guess this is another example of where like putting the recovery mechanic directly in the hands of the players is a convenient solution for that, or using recovery fountains. Drop in recovery fountains. So these very often have drop in. Yeah, here we go. Drop in a recovery fountain, like whatever. The recovery fountains have bailed me out of a few situations where I've overcomplicated a dungeon or just underestimated the stupidity of my players a lot of times, because at that point I want them to keep progressing. So I just kind of drop in, as if I had always planned this, right? A recovery fountain of some option that will give them some benefits or some perk. But often I'll kind of have them choose who gets it, or how much, or like what one resource they kind of recover. So you get, it's not necessarily a full long rest, but players get to choose. Have to make a difficult choice. That ends up being very useful as well. Trick to meaningful retreats. Place minor goals between them and their major goal. I think I developed the mindset of we can't make it the whole way yet, but we can make it just that a little bit further. Done on multiple goals in the same location. Yeah, so multiple goals in the same location I absolutely love doing as a GM. It makes your content much more interesting as well, you know, when you have multiple objectives in the same play space. It's really, really, really it's a really good way to just reuse content without players kind of knowing. It's great. I think one of the big reasons the recovery mechanic is sometimes necessary is because some adventures are just too long. For instance, running a DD conversion of Tomb of Annihilation, 60 to 70 room dungeons. Oh, absolutely, yeah. So this is where my bias as GM shows, because I run cycles, not mega dungeons, I guess is the thing. So yeah, this is kind of like part of where I guess I always have to lead with my inherent biases as a GM, right? Or certainly in the way that I write content, which is I like adventure paths and cycles were a very probably I should have written them much earlier, really, because they're a very clear example of how I structure my games and my content. I don't really do mega dungeons or these kind of big sprawling like Tomb of Annihilation, right? 60, 70 roomed dungeons, because that for me isn't really interesting content. I don't really enjoy games where players are kind of like bounding from room to room, just kind of like doing stuff, because I like to structure the narrative of the experience. You know, I like to have, okay, I know that this is going to be like the narrative kind of tough point, and here's the hero's journey, right? You know, this is the intro of the dungeon, and it's going to segue into this, and then there might be this side journey into this bit, but it's all kind of like building up and building up and building up, and then boss, boom, right? So that's why something like a long rest really works for me, because players get to have a burst of adventure, and then they have the downtime, and the world gets to progress and react to the thing that they just did. In something like Mega Dungeons, or something where the game is bounce from room to room and kind of, you know, explore, murder, loot, then that kind of, what's the word? That protracted downtime period can kind of work against you unless you're structuring in some real special safe places in your dungeons. It's fine for PCs to fail. If they live and the villain gets a success, it's not the end of the game. It's just a new. So this is really tricky. Like teaching players that failure is fun is a huge struggle. Failure is fun is a huge struggle. And I would argue impossible, here we go, when you kill their characters. So failing something in D&D is a large part of the experience, right? You know, sometimes players aren't always going to win at a quest, right? They might do the bad thing. They might unleash the evil instead of contain it, you know, blah, blah, blah. But very often I'll kind of see players like just get locked into a course of action or just commit to something. Oh, well, hey, it's going to be a TPK, so let's all just fucking get in and we'll just assume that the campaign's broke, or like we're all going to die, whatever, and we'll all move on. Rather than even contemplate the fact that they could retreat, or that failing might not just mean the death of their characters, right? There can be a narrative evolution of the game that doesn't necessarily require a TPK, or just death to be the only consequence. So this is why, like, I very often I'm very hesitant to kill off characters as a consequence, because it can really derail a game with certain types of players who are just very attached to their characters. Blah, blah, blah. The minor goal system is great on its own and also interacts in a really great way with... yes, yeah, so that was a large part of the reason why I introduced the Dread Anchors, because now you have a little quest to like go and hunt, right? Go get this thing, or purge this corrupted person, or destroy this item, and you've got a Zelda adventure. Mega dungeons aren't designed to be done in one go. That's why there's always a town nearby. The idea is that PCs hit and run, getting loot, taking it back, then going back for more until they finally finish it. I'd forgotten to pace the story in a way that let them get a long rest in a reasonable. Yeah, so like I fall into this trap all the time. So I'm exactly the same, because I like when I have an adventure, I like a fast-paced adventure a lot of the time, right? It's like, hey, you need to go address the thing now, because if you don't, things are going to happen, right? Or it's just not exciting to me, as you know, as an ADD DM. I like to keep things moving fast. So that's why the recovery fountain mechanic has been very useful in times where I've put too much time pressure on and like not factored in how devastating that might be to players. I think the same issue arises with a 15-room dungeon or with a campaign. Ah, okay, yes, here we go. Yeah, I see what you mean. Difficult to walk in the sense you won't go back, but doing a one-shot. Yes. Yeah, I see what you mean. So, yeah, even if you have like a 15-room dungeon, you still need to think about how much can the players reasonably achieve within that dungeon. So there are some ways you can go around that. You know, you can make some encounters easier. You can swap some like combat encounters out for things like puzzles or traps or any of this kind of stuff. Yeah, so like recovery potions in that kind of thing are the mechanic that I lean towards quite a lot. And actually might be some that's probably. I wonder if there's a chapter in there that's worth writing for Darker Dungeons. Or extending in the adventure cycles one. That might be a thing, like extended adventure cycles. There might be something in there. Okay, let's just have a look at adventure cycles. Increasing adventures. Yeah, so we have advice about flashpoints, right? Which is like, okay, we kind of expect, yeah, players to have a bunch of content for them. But if you're going above and beyond that, or you want to lighten the burden, yeah, I think I need to do a little expansion page on this that will have advice on recovery mechanics. Yes. Yep, that's a good note. Actually, here we go. Let's add that to the Trello. Recovery mechanics. Extended adventure cycles. Yeah, here we go. Recovery mechanics, potions, fountains, etc. Yeah, that's probably a very good addition. And just a one page kind of thing. Clarify the training. Yes, here we go. Okay, training takes up a downtime slot. Technically, that's a bug, I guess. No, it goes in training. It's fine. I'll put it here for now. Otherwise, I'll forget it. Sorry, where am I at? This chat about failure and goals reminds me of the mothership approach to game design. You can save people, solve the mystery, or survive, and you get to pick 2. Interesting. I haven't heard about this approach before. What are we listening to? Ugh, Mario Party. You can save people, solve the mystery, or survive. This is interesting. I mean, yeah, you don't really... D&D as a game doesn't really teach players how to enjoy failure. Because there isn't a way, like... roguelites... actually, it's roguelites... have a mechanic that lets players enjoy failure. Roleplay games don't. I guess don't. Failure means the narrative gets worse. I guess that's it. Does that kind of make sense? So like roguelike games have this built-in mechanic that makes failure enjoyable, right? It's like, in Hades, fuck, I screwed up in this run, but I've got like some darkness to carry over into the next game and like upgrade my skills and buy more keys or whatever and just upgrade my abilities to make the next run much better. But in a roleplay game, right, if you don't succeed at a thing, or you kind of fail, right, then there's like a narrative punishment to that a lot of the time, right? The narrative gets worse, which players don't really enjoy. I wonder if there's a way to do something with that. Oh, hey, Rasp, how's it going? Yeah, there's no gradient, right? You succeed or fail, but there's also no... what's the word? Carryover. So we kind of deal with this a little bit in Trials. In Trials, one of the things that I tried to enforce and just really call out, right, was the 4 success states. So you have you got your major success, major victory... what did I even call them? Jeez, I'm so out of touch with my own writing. This is fucking ridiculous. Yeah, major victories, minor victories, a minor defeat, and a major defeat, right? So those kind of like 4 outcomes are there to give players a taste of failure without, having to go all in on it, right? You still kind of succeed, but you get a little sort of hint of failure, or you don't win as well as you would have. So there's kind of like the gradient in there, right? But in most games, it's very hard to do that in D&D. You just kind of, you won it, or you fucked it up. Sorry. You can't just like half save someone. They're either dead or alive. Where are we at? Oh, hey Jace, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Oh god, yeah, it's 1 o'clock, right? Yeah, well, I did start like 11? Fuck yeah, I'm way late. So it's 1 o'clock. So I should... Oh. Yeah, it's time check, right? I probably should think about wrapping things up. Unless there's... some Prime chat or something I should be aware of, or something we do need to talk about before I sign off for the week. I think putting a note in the adventure circle thing would be helpful for a lot of GMs. I see this get talked about a lot because 5e space assumptions are so strange. Yeah, you're right. One of the things that I've been hoping to do, or that I intend to do with Darker Dungeons in the not too distant future, I mean I say this all the time though, is to split up the monolithic book right into just discrete chapters that people could download as and when, right? Because the bigger Darker Dungeons gets, the harder it is for people to kind of get into it, because no one wants to just like commit to a 200-page book, right? Whereas like separate chapter PDFs are probably like much easier for people to just kind of consume and whatever. So I need to get in on that. Do you use user stories in your work at all? Yep, so we use user stories at work. We use Trello at the moment, actually, at work, because we're all working from home. And we tie that in. We use Trello plus Rally. So we use Rally to create user stories, and then we tag them in Trello. So user story, I mean, a user story is probably something that I should do. Again, this might just be like another management thing that Giphy intends to do, and you know, stops doing after like a week. So that could be pretty useful. Ooh, Blood Hunter. Okay, let's have a quick look. Powered by the Apocalypse handles this well with a gradient. Yeah, Powered by the Apocalypse is has a really good built-in system for that. You're right. Their entire thing. The base mechanic for PBTA games is really nice. Dungeon World I enjoy. I don't think I could play a long campaign of it because I find it mentally exhausting and I don't like Theatre of the Mind, but there are some very good lessons to learn from PBTA. Very, very kind of educational. You should be aware that sorry, not Waldo. This is a wallet. Oh my god. When will a modular Dark Dungeons tool become reality? I want to print. So I think so for this. This will come in. Fucking hell, GIF. So when I release the chapters individually, I'm hoping that will just mean we won't need a separate tool at that point, because people will just be able to download the chapters they want and kind of swap them in. So that will allow you to just kind of print chapters as and when and just update your collection however you like. At least that's the intent. Again, you know, we'll see how things shake out closer to the day. For the last topic of the stream, I vote we talk about Liffy's second gear and how I got just as. I mean, yes, we can talk about this ad hoc, because I've seen the second gear episode about 5 million times. This is the fight with Bluno, and it's fucking amazing. Second gear is my favourite transformation of anything ever, I think. It looks so cool. It sounds so cool. It's a really cool action. I'm just going to be talking about second gear now. Sorry. That's it. Is this like your first time watching the NES Lobby arc, Rasp? Because I mean, holy fuck. Oh, NES Lobby. God fucking damn it. It's so good. NES Lobby is, I mean, a lot of like, I mean, I can't even string a sentence together. NES Lobby is fucking genius. I mean, I love One Piece, and I don't want to be that fucking grognard who's like, oh, NES Lobby is just like the best arc, even though it's like 10 years old at this point. Actually, when did NES Lobby come out? It is probably about that, right? But it is... Jeez, original release 2006. It's 14 years old. Incredible. But it's phenomenal. I don't want to spoil anything because I want you to get to it. Yeah, Skypiea is amazing and beautiful and a work of art. And NES Lobby, especially combined with Water 7. Water 7 fucking blew my broke broke my heart. It's so good. It's so good. And then you're I don't want to I'm not going to spoil anything, but basically you know, come on the stream, like pop in chat when you finish Ennia's lobby and the follow-on kind of like stuff, and I'm just gonna gush about it for about 5 hours. Anyway, sorry. I have Blood Hunter to look at. I was just kind of thinking about One Piece now. So, right, where are we at? Okay. So this is a subclass for Ranger. Yes. The theme music, was it the opening titles for the Ennia's Lobby arc is so good as well. I love that music. Just the whole music in the Ennia's Lobby episode. I think it comes from, they start referencing stuff that was in like the 7th movie, like the Mechanical Castle or something, and it's some tracks in there I still listen to today. Okay, so Blood Hunters, right? Also a serious training. The result is a relentless and versatile killer who uses their own blood cast. Repulsive magic becomes a formidable physical foe. Okay, nice. Blood poison trap. A creature within 15 feet of you damages you. You can activate the trap to spray poisonous blood, which seeps into their skin and mixes with their blood. That creature must make a saving throw. The next 2 times is hit by a weapon attack during the next minute. Ooh, interesting. Now, is it able to control one of its limbs? Arm, leg, wing. Interesting. So, hang on, I can probably zoom in on this, right? Yeah, here we go. So I like the tone of this. This is very interesting. Loses the ability to control one of its limbs. You'd probably want to say you get to choose which limb, because it doesn't make it clear who gets to decide which is which. And that you might want to just attribute a what's the word? A specific consequence. So rather than just leave it a little bit vague, because it could be open to interpretation how some things might work here. So you might want to say, okay, an arm, the target is disarmed or drops an item of your choice. If it's a leg, then the target is slowed. If it is wing, then the target loses its flying speed. Those kind of mechanical. I'd probably do a little table here to just spell out what each one would translate to at the table, just to avoid any discussion between player and DM. Yeah, unordered list. Yeah, there you go. That'll do just as well. Trap is activated, the target stops moving. On its next turn, you force it to make another saving throw or move at half speed. Interesting. Yeah, I like the flavour for these. Okay, Blood Trail. At first level, you gain an additional 30 feet of movement, which can be used to move towards an enemy. That's... sorry, what do you mean 30 feet of movement? You mean on your turn? That seems like a lot. In addition, you gain advantage on skill checks related to tracking creatures. That's because I think that the problem with some stuff like this, or when we're coming into half health checks, this can be frustrating for a GM to work with because the player will just keep asking, okay, is this creature at half its health? Is this creature at half its health? Is this creature at half its health? Unless the GM is doing something clear, like using a bloodied tracker, kind of like I do, or something like that. Yeah, so if a GM is using the bloodied status, then that kind of helps. But a lot of GMs don't or aren't aware of that as a signifier. So that kind of question could be kind of repetitive. I'm not sure right now what the fix is, but there might need to be something around there that kind of clarifies that. That's something on the back burner for now. I'm just always hesitant about health HP checks because they just tend to come up as like a question. The first time you deal damage to a creature that has less than half its health, you can spend 1 hit die to recover HP as you would when spending 1 hit dice. Okay, so it's kind of like a vampiric thing. I'd probably split this out as a separate trait that you gain at first level, just because this is more of like a vampiric trait, right, rather than this one specifically. So this would be like blood, like vampirism or something like that. Just to clarify that it is a distinct kind of function. Fuck them. CC is made. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, yeah. Hemorrhage at 3rd level. You can stipulate the adrenaline in your blood to heighten your physical capabilities. If you're less than half your hit points, +4. You can spend 5 hit points to enter a hemorrhage. While in hemorrhage, your weapon attacks deal an additional 1d4 on your turn. If you have less than 10% of your hit points, this damage increases to 6. Interesting. So 3 HP to gain proficiency. That lasts 10 minutes. Alright, active. You gain access to Bloodlust Brutalities. Ooh, Brutalities. Is that Portal? Oh god, I love this game. So this, as a designer, I'm interested. So, is there a reason you went with hit points versus a new kind of Blood Hunter resource? So, like, one of the reasons that I tend to avoid tying abilities to something like hit points is it's a resource that's very difficult for us to estimate or balance gameplay around, because we don't really control it. We can't really determine how many hit points a player is going to have at any level, because they could multi-class, they could pick this up later, depending on how they kind of split their levels and whatever. In addition, we can't really determine or judge how much recovery they're going to have through things like healing potions, healing spells, whatever kind of like bullshit recovery mechanic they've stumbled onto. They could conceivably just have an infinite amount of hit points depending on their kind of game, which makes it very difficult for you to balance how many times a player is going to be able to use this within a short rest or a long rest or any of those kind of things. So not, obviously not that I want to kind of like completely overturn this. Tying stuff to hit points is a very common feature, right? Or like a lot of people kind of design these kind of like bloodletting classes and whatever, but it is something you might want to kind of bear in mind, because it makes it difficult for you to like I say, judge how much utility a player is going to get out of this. Anyway, sorry, let me just check these Bloodlust Brutality. So these are kind of interesting. This is like a port of some cool stuff when you hit a creature with Cleave. Okay, yep, that makes sense. Cleave, grab, kick, roar. Yep, that all kind of makes sense. Because you're in like a Bloodlust rage, right? 6th level, while your Hemo Rage is not active, you can do magical. Okay. Always consume a number of hit points. Some of them allow you to spending hit pre. Choose 2 blood magics to list your. Okay, sweet. You do not learn more blood magics. When you finish a long rest, you replace. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty nice system. Number of hit points. Cast the spell. Okay, I won't quite get into the specifics of this. So spend 3 hit points to force the target creature to make a Constitution save. Okay. Additional hit point you spend. Equal to your range level +1. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, so I like it's always a trouble doing these kind of like blood classes, because you know, spending hit points is like, it's a very cool and iconic way of using that utility, that resource, right? I've never seen a good implementation of balance, right? Or let's come back to it. Omnivamp, okay, at 9th level you get the ability to drain a massive amount of blood and transfuse it into your body. Yes, yes, yes. Force every creature within 15 feet make Constitution. Take 86 necrotic damage. Heal a number of hit points. Deal to the 3 creatures that took the most damage. Cannot heal more than the number of hit points they had before you use this ability. Stays active for 1 minute. Rage activates. So this is all. I think that there's kind of like a few things that are a few wheels kind of where this feels a little complicated to me, because you've got a lot of like, okay, here's the thing. Now, if you're in position X and you're doing so, if I use Omnivamp and if I used Hemo Rage before I used Omnivamp, it stays a bit longer, right? But if I use Hemo Rage within the minute, the bonus damage increases again, in addition to the modifiers that I have to keep track of while Hemo Rage is already kind of active. So it feels like you've kind of got a lot of stacking complexity that you might want to see if there's a way to just streamline somehow. I like the flavour of it, and I think the theming is kind of there. Like, you've got some pretty sweet stuff. The use of blood magics and the brutalities feel very much in keeping. But you might want to just see if there's ways you can kind of streamline stuff, so there's a bit less number tracking, I guess, is that kind of thing. Okay, hang on. Sorry, where are we at? Spending, hit dice would probably be a valid kind of substitute of this. You know, you spend a hit die to gain a certain number of like blood points or something. So you could either use hit dice directly, or substitute hit dice for blood points, you know, and that way you kind of have a a much more manageable resource. That kind of thing. But yeah, blood points might be something you want to rejig things a little bit towards. Remove the buffs at 10th, I'll make it a fight thing. How many hit points is X%? Oh, that comes, yeah. Yeah, it could be like little things like this. In my experience, sort of as a mechanic, when you're talking about like 50% and 10%, what's the word? They can veer towards metagaming a lot. Where a player is like, hey, like, don't heal me. I need to be at, like, if you heal me, then that's going to put me at 9%. No, that's going to put me at like 11%, and I need to be at like 10% specifically because I know the numbers on this thing, and I need that because I want the extra like hit dice. So there's, I don't know, there's a I think, yeah, the problem here is tying it to hit points, really, because hit points are affected by too many things too often. They're affected by allies, they're affected by enemies, they're affected by your own choices. So, yeah, exactly. So using it on a much smaller pool of resource, like hit dice or blood points, or something specifically and only controlled by the ranger here, will simplify that exchange tremendously for you. Because, you know, it will only be when the ranger chooses to change that number that it will change, rather than like when anyone around them acts. They now have to update their kind of stuff. Does that kind of make sense? Anyway, hope that helps. And yeah, excited to see what that evolves into. Again, as always, sorry if I'm super negative, because that's part of my job, and is giving useful criticism is kind of the balance that I strive for, right? Oh, hey Veli, how's it going? Made it to a stream after 2 months. Yeah, what's been going on? How's it? I mean, yeah, we are like pretty much about to shut down because I'm way overdue. But yeah, hope you're well. Good to see you again. VODs, yes. VODs will be this week. I know I said that last week, and probably the week before that, but they're definitely going to be this week. Definitely going to be this week. They're definitely. I mean, they're obviously going to be this week. Why would I ever lie about that? Oh no, I mean, I just like time is a flat circle, right? I think something like that. Look at my message above about big shields. When this creature takes a significant hit from another creature, it is considered bloodied. When it takes another while bloodied, it is... Wait, what the fuck? 11 months! Oh, thanks for the sub, Mickey. You're right, you have absolutely no life. Sorry about that. But I'm going to profit those sweet sub dollars, right? Nonetheless. Where's the big shield thing? Big shields. I hope you're doing alright, Mickey. Big shield, what am I missing? Replace their hit points with a train. Oh, okay. When this creature takes significant hits, big damage. Second time they take significant hits. Oh, right. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, I see what you mean. yeah, this is pretty, like, very often, this is how I run NPCs a lot of the time. They can survive, fucking hell, 3 hits. That's it. Any damage counts as 1 hit. Any instance of damage. So this is like very basic rules for like when I'm running an NPC in a game, and I can't be asked to track hit points because I can't. This is just what I'll do. They can just take 3 hits, right? They're looking okay. They're looking worn. They're looking haggard. They're looking hurt, and then they're looking dead. That's it. So anytime they take a hit, you just drop their quality down by one tracker. And this has kind of worked out pretty well for me in most games, especially when I'm like running an NPC, or like the players have an NPC that they're escorting or keeping track of, because again, there's no HP management. There's only like a quality that we kind of have to worry about. That face. Why would I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. I mean, I would though, but I wouldn't. But I would. Time is a fancy way to spell Tim. They call me Tim the Enchanter. Just trying to remember how good updating Trello made you feel. No, updating Trello does make me feel good. It's just like, I don't have an excuse, Dad. Just, oh my god, I'll do it. Jeez, get off my back. Let me just have fun and like write Trello. Just, not Trello, just Foundry. I want to do my homework. That's literally that's what's going on in here. Doing great. Look around aimlessly these last few. Yeah, I know. I keep I intend to bring back Tuesdays, Thursdays. Once Foundry is finalized. Yeah, I think that's about it. So not doing stuff on Tuesdays and Thursdays has been kind of good for my productivity, which is kind of nice, but I do miss streaming. So once I've just got I'm a little more comfortable and familiar with Foundry, and I can kind of coast a little bit on that, then I'll be streaming, if not both Tuesdays and Thursdays, then maybe Tuesdays or maybe Thursdays. We'll kind of decide what day it's going to be. Looking dead isn't really dead. That's true, yeah. I mean, I could just be a very pretty corpse. Very pretty. Fresh hurt, bloody faltering is the 25% markers for MC health. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a really good one. Although hurt above bloodied, I mean, I guess, yeah, you're kind of like hurt, right? Okay, yeah, I wanted to disagree with that, but it kind of makes sense. What is the belief? Oh. I mean, anime except for One Piece, right? I think we're all agreed on that. One Piece is good, and we can put the rest of anime in the dustbin. Yeah, we can put the rest of the anime in the dust. Oh my god, when did I look so young? I mean, okay, maybe not that one. Maybe don't pause. Maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, there we go. No, still wrong. Okay, there's okay, yeah, here we go. Yeah, that's about right. Oh, God. Okay, maybe I do need a haircut. Shocking. Right. Right, where are we at? We're going to update it every stream from now on. God, it's like living with my parents again. Foundry blows. Just sorry. What do we? What's? Nope. I mean, it might blow to use to run a game. I mean, I have no idea because I'm probably never going to run a game in Foundry. But to write stuff for, I mean, Foundry's fucking amazing. I love developing stuff for Foundry. Also reworked Biomancer, and I will share next stream. Oh, excellent. Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll have a pick at that next stream. Even Castlevania. The Netflix one, I've been watching that recently. I'm in two minds about it. I'll probably speak about it next stream. But I like it, but I also think it's shit in a lot of ways. It's very frustrating. There's so much wasted time on that show. It's like, oh. Million gold piece. Yeah, there it is. Alright, okay. Anyway, where are we going? Giffy drunk. I was doing like Dark Adventure stuff, and it was like really cool. And I'm gonna go sleep for 5 minutes. Right, no, I am going to go to sleep though, so go away. Right, thanks everyone for tuning in. Lovely to chat as always. Should be a stream on Sunday, unless I get something really cool that I want to show off with in Foundry. Maybe if Quick Quest gets some ridiculous progress, then there might be a Thursday stream, but I'll let you know in the Discord. So yeah, thanks everyone, lovely to chat as always. Hope you have a lovely week and look forward to the VODs, because I'm definitely going to put those on YouTube right after I update the Trello and do all my other homework. So good night all, and have a lovely evening. Bye. Seriously, night all. Bye. Wait, fuck, yeah, you're right. Oh my god. Yeah, it is. Alright, wait, hang on. Okay, I need to just update the things. Fuck, yeah, it is. Just shut up, Dad. I've got like so much homework that I need to do. Alright, hang on. Did I update the things? Oh, fuck, I don't think I updated stuff. Shit. There's got to be an automated way that I can just like update the Patreon stuff. Alright, we can just hang out. This is going to be like Giffy doing his homework stream. So, alright, let's have fun downloading all this. Because Fabre is making me do my homework. What a pain. Okay, how's everyone doing on this? Yeah, Giffy After Dark. That's where we're at. So let's just update all of these things. Because I'm really good at remembering to do these things. Yeah, how's everyone doing? Give me something interesting while I'm updating all this stuff. Scuff stream. Yeah, this is not going in the VOD, by the way. I'm fucking cutting this. This is why I can't just upload them straight, because I need to find a way to edit them to make me look like not such a moron, which is a very hard task. Hi, I'm Giffy, and I just like running botched streams. Buggered. Yeah, there it is. I fucked it up. Fucked it. These fucked streams. Okay, projects, streaming, text. Okay, yeah, cool. Patrons. How many patrons have we got? Okay, alright, sigils. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, okay, there we go. You're on. Now let's do the 5s. Okay, this is good. This is... okay. I mean, I love doing this, and also I hate doing this, and I love doing this, and I hate doing this. Don't edit the... Look. I don't have an argument, so I'm just going to keep saying look in place of an argument. I know exactly what I'm doing at all times. We shall... oh, so much cringe. So much cringe. Okay, right. Good. We're almost there. We're almost at a point where I can pretend that I knew I was doing this all along. Except for the Twitch streams, but I'm not updating that because that's a whole other thing I need to do. So... okay. Got it. This is better. Oh my god, I'm just like pro streamer extraordinaire. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Come watch me not do the thing that I told all my patrons I was going to do, because I'm a really, really good person. Wait, how many are there? Ooh, actually that's quite a large number. Oh my god. Wait, that can't be right. Can it? Ooh, okay, that can. Alright. How did I get that many? 289, okay. Right. 2, 8, 9. Alright. It's done. I fixed it. We're ready to go. All 330. Yeah, there we go. Thank God Strider isn't... yeah, you got off lightly. We'll need to get in a new Gothic banner. Maybe that's it. We'll just have a permanent, like, rule in place. Alright, I think I got everything. Remove the files. Yeah, don't need you. Perfect. Okay, I think that's working. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Social encounter. So, as a super kind reminder for reminding me to do my homework, thanks everyone for your support. It really means a lot, and I definitely don't forget to do this like fucking one thing that I said I was going to remember to do. So sorry about that. But yeah, thanks very much for your support, everyone. It's super kind of you. It's super generous. Hopefully you've enjoyed all the content to date, and you're going to continue to enjoy the stuff coming up. So we've got some really exciting Foundry projects coming up. That's kind of the focus for this month, and after this month we'll see what people are interested in. Well, actually no, next month is probably like Foundry Dark Dungeons, But there might be a couple of like document tweaks and updates as well. We'll see if there's like any new chapter content that's going to come out. So yeah, as always, a super kind thank you, there's the word, to my Prime Sigils. Your content, your support really means a lot. Andy Weisdragia, Alexander von Bose, Anthony Kapler, Barkstone, Burb Marrows, Dario Hachik, Dor Sivan, FC Wessel, Fowlan Twinbear, George, Hoots Kenku, Jordan Linden Lees, Mickey Minaj, Necrotic Fawn, Nick Gamble, Strider, and Tristan Bassinet. Like I say, your contribution is super appreciated. It really helps me stay focused on these very long projects, and it will continue to do so. You can change my name for Fabre. Oh, yes, I can do that right now. See, this is like one of the things that's kind of interesting or kind of problematic about doing stuff this way, which is I lose like some of the specific names that people want to be referred to by, so it's like I need to find a better system, but I wonder what that is going to be. Okay, hang on, patrons. Yes, there you go. Da-da-da, live editing, we fixed it. So yeah, thanks everyone. Hope you have a lovely... Oh my god, look at that, what the fuck. Yeah, Pro Streamer Extraordinaire. Hope you have a lovely time. And now I'm going to go to bed because I've done my homework. Love hearing you that appreciate me. Makes me feel less useless. Hey! Look, we're all useless in our own ways. Just got to revel in that uselessness. That's what I do. You just got to write 200 pages of jank rules. You know, that's when you peak useless. All right, I'm going to bed. So thanks everyone for tuning in. This has been Giffy After Dark. I'll see you all again next week. Bye. For real this time. Night, everyone.